Okay, cool. I'll just jump over.
Yeah.
Right, we are now live. There's a bit of lag, so I think it might take some time to catch up. But we'll go over to here so we see. But hello everyone.
Hey guys, Happy New Year.
Welcome to the first stream of 2020. So we've got quite a few things to get through in this stream. So I guess we're just going to go through, well, first we're just going to talk a little bit about NAMM, and then, well, there's just a couple of things we want to talk about, and then we'll go through some questions, as usual throughout. You know, write to us in the little chat box, and we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, so I guess first things first is NAMM 2020. So Kelly, me and David are going to be in London, but Kelly is jet setting off to NAMM.
Yeah, I mean, you're making it sound glamorous, but you know, it's our first NAMM, so we can't be sure how glamorous it's going to be yet.
Oh, it's going to be great.
But yeah, so if any of you guys are planning to come, we're going to be in Hall E, which is one of the lower floors in the convention centre. And we're going to be in booth 1343. We'll do some posts on social, make sure everyone gets an email to make sure everyone knows about it. But that's where we're going to be. And we've also been selected to preview at the Media Day, which is on the Wednesday before, which is really exciting too. So we're going to be basically at that booth for 4 days straight. So just come and find us there if you're at NAMM. We're really excited to meet any of you that obviously we would not normally get the chance to because we're in London. And yeah,
and
just come and get some demos.
Kelly beatboxing.
Yeah, I mean,
request a demo.
Yeah, request a demo from me. I'm amazing. No, I'm not the best, but yeah, look, we're going to be there. It's going to be really fun, exciting. We're just super hyped to meet everyone, or if you know of anyone that's going, let them know too, or any friends, any people that you know in the industry, send them our way.
Yeah. There'll be a few people visiting us, so we might pop up on various different socials as well, so I guess just keep an eye out. You might see us appear on various different, like, who is it? I mean, everyone's there, aren't they? But yeah, I'm sure we'll be around on there. But, hello. Hey to Quadrillion TV. Hello. Thanks for joining us. But yeah, so that's NAMM basically. Come visit us, and we'll be, you can get to demo our stuff in America finally, which is fun.
Yeah, very exciting.
Cool. So next thing, competition news.
Yes, there's been, so the competition we've been running, I'm sure you've heard about it already, but we basically want to get some videos and stuff from you guys to see you using Doubler, and there's all the rules and stuff online. But basically, we've decided to extend the deadline to the end of this month. We've had a few people messages. We know the holidays has been pretty crazy and busy for everyone. So we've decided to give an extra few weeks for you guys to like finish off your videos and think up ideas and stuff. So yeah, now the deadline is the end of the month. But just like a reminder for those guys, like the prizes are Illmind.
So Illmind, who's a really great producer who actually has a Doubler studio kit himself. He has offered up a really great prize, which is a massive pack of all of his samples that he's ever created in one big download. Super, super cool prize. It's worth a lot of money. It's very, very cool.
About
we wish
30
we had
gig,
it
I
too.
think, of samples and stuff. So big package.
And there's another prize too, which has been gifted by Abbey Road Studios, which is an online mastering session. So you can upload your track and it will get mastered by the Abbey Road's peeps, which is also a super great prize. And maybe the best prize of all is going to be some exclusive Vochlea hoodies, which is obviously what everyone wants.
Yeah. And they are exclusive as well. No one else will have these.
Yeah, we're not mass manufacturing them, they're just for you guys.
Handmade.
So yeah, get your entries in. We're really hyped to see what you guys have been doing with Doubler. There's a few on there already. I'll go back to the computer in a second and I'll post a link to the campaign, the competition page, so you can go and check out everyone's entries, see what the competition is.
Yeah, we've been loving the ones that have come in already. They've been great. So we've had
some great tracks made. There was one recently where someone was using the trombone with Doubler, which is pretty crazy. There's like all sorts of ideas going on there. So check out, see what people are doing and see if you have any ideas. But that's basically the competition. And then, for the rest of the day, mate, we've got quite a lot of questions that we're going to get through. So we'll go through those. If you have any questions whilst we're doing them, feel free to put them in the chat. If there's anything, that...
I'll keep an eye on some questions.
Yeah, Kelly will keep an eye on for us. But if there's anything that perhaps like you're waiting to ask maybe wait until we've just gone through some of these questions, just so like.
Well, I mean, you can drop them in the chat, but we'll probably get to them towards the end because we've got loads of stuff going on. So
yeah. Well, we're gonna do some demo stuff at the end. So if it's something you want to see as demo, wait until we start doing demos and things, and we'll jump on that and do that straight away.
Sounds good. Cool.
Oh yeah. Someone also So Quadrillions just put about hopefully another contest in the future because he was in the second round of orders. This is something we'll definitely think about, like in the future, like when more. That's another thing I was going to talk about. Well, actually, hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, so there might be another competition in the future.
I'm gonna jump in and say almost certainly yes. Like once it'd be great to do another competition when lots of people have got the kit, they've really spent some time with it. So it might not even be just after the second round of orders. It might be way off into the future, like 8 months' time or something. But if this competition goes well, we're enjoying seeing people making stuff. So I'm sure we'll put something like that together.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, at the moment this first one was just for to get these first users, and we're just so excited to see people using it. But in the future when people have really settled into Doubler, it'll be a different thing. But yeah, let's jump in with the questions that we've got. So these are the questions that we've got submitted on our form. So either these are people who are going to be watching back later or who might be in the chat now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'll jump in there.
Go for it.
Sure. So the first question comes in from David Girding, and he asks, "What's a good Windows-based starter DAW for someone who hasn't even used a DAW before? Someone who's completely new."
Yeah, this is one of those questions that has so many answers. If you Google this, there'll be so many people telling you different things. But I'll just tell you my opinion. It might not be right, but Windows-based starter DAW. If you want to go free, Cakewalk is one of the only free DAWs. So if you want to just dip your toe without spending any money, that's just a good way to get an idea of how these things work. But apart from that, low cost, you can get things like Reaper, which are about 60 quid, which are quite good. But personally, I think you can get Ableton Live Lite, which comes free with a lot of hardware. And you can pick up a quite cheap MIDI controller, say a little MIDI keyboard or something, which is great for music making. And then with that, you can get a copy of Live Lite. I think that's a great way because then you can spend the same money. You get a little controller, if you've got Doubler as well, and then you've got Live Lite, you're basically all set up and ready to go.
One thing you can do actually that I did when I first started as well, when I first joined Vochlea, was I downloaded a free trial of Ableton to give it a go. You get a free 1 month trial. That gives you the whole, full bang, everything that you could possibly use out of Ableton. Then I thought, well, actually, I really like this, and I ended up doing what Liam suggested and getting the Live Lite license because it worked out really cheap. And then if I take it more seriously, then I can upgrade. So it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. So the next question's from Eric, and he asks, could you do a demo setting up Doubler on Reaper, please?
Yeah. So basically, next week I've got quite a few videos planned that I want to get up. One of them, I just did a page actually, maybe a couple of days ago for setting up on Reaper specifically. So if you're on that, you can check out a getting started page on our help site, which is help.vochlea.co.uk. And that just basically has just setting it up for you ready to go. Very basic, but yeah, I can do a video for sure. That won't take too long. Another thing I want to do next week as well with the videos is just what we were talking about Live Lite, but basically I might set up a live project that I can share with you guys and you can download, and then you can just go straight in with making music without having to set it up. And I'll just do another video with it where I'll basically talk about what I've put in, why I've put it in, and how I can use it with Doubler. And it might just give a few ideas, and it might be quite fun for people to use. But if there's stuff like that you also want to see, let us know and I can do that. We're also going to probably try to do a tips for triggers one as well, because we've got tips for pitch up but not triggers, so I'll go in depth with some trigger stuff as well. I see we've got some questions from Ildar. I think we're going to go into that a little bit later. So if you just hold on a bit, we'll touch on that in a second. We have seen that question.
Yeah, probably in about 5 minutes we're going to get to you, Ildar, where we're going to be talking about pitch and latency and stuff like that. Don't worry. So to round that up, Reaper videos on their way. So that's cool.
I'll do a set video next week. Yeah.
So the next question is, how long do I need to wait for Doubler Studio Kit? And that's from Max Jurgensen.
Yeah. There's another question as well, basically from Web, which is when is the next shipment expected to arrive? So basically those two things. So I'll give you the latest we have on the February update. So the ship is due into the port on the 25th of Jan, I believe. So then once it arrives, it's going to take a bit of time to like get to a warehouse, process, get all the things in, and then it should be on your way. So we're all on course for February really. We'll probably expect we could do more accurate once it's actually arrived in our warehouse and they can tell us more accurate dates. But sort of around mid-Feb, they'll probably start going out to you guys.
I mean, I could expect it to be dispatched from, say, the 5th of February if everything goes really well. So then, maybe mid-February, you guys have got it in your hands.
Yeah, but currently, February, all on course. So the next bit we're going to go into is probably, we'll talk about some technical stuff, our plans for 2020, and we'll also answer Ildar's question as well in this.
Should we just jump into Ildar's questions first, actually? Yeah. Cool.
So he said, I mean, I'm sure you can read this, but if you're watching it back and you're not looking at the chat, he says, hello, I bought Doubler, but I still can't seem to use it correctly. I hear low, very low, but still latency. When I sing, I cannot hear myself in headphones. What should I do? How to play correctly fast modes? I cannot sing fast or moderate fast musical phrases because I hear myself with low latency and it's confusing me. The same problem was in early guitar plugins 10 years ago. There was latency, but not. So you can not really play live and listen to yourself live.
So the main issue here that Ildar's talking about is latency, and we actually have another question from Miles who came through on the question sheet, and what is the latency in terms of milliseconds? So I'm going to give you a bit of an in-depth answer to this. First of all, one really straightforward thing to make sure is that in your DAW, in Ableton, Logic, or whatever you use, make sure that your buffer size is set to a low value. We've spoken to some people, they've come through on video chat, they've been having latency problems, and then we've been able to point them to drop your buffer size to 128, and then, it's not necessarily perfect, but it's made a big improvement for them. So have a look at that first. But that said, latency. What is the latency? So the latency on the drums, we believe to be about 12 milliseconds. That's what we've measured, which is really quick. It's in this kind of sweet spot where it feels instant, especially if you've got your buffer size down and you've got everything set up correctly. That should feel like low latency. Now, for the pitched stuff, the singing, now, I'm going to estimate that at around 30 milliseconds based on our measurements. So obviously there's work to be done there. That 30 milliseconds is just out of that range where it feels really, really instant and snappy and sharp. I've actually produced a little sheet here, or should I say Kelly's produced a sheet for me that kind of to try and explain what causes some of this latency. Now, with our current algorithms for detecting pitch, if you imagine that this is someone singing and this is the waveform, like zoomed in, our algorithm can pick up the sound of people singing at a particular frequency when it comes through two full waves. Now, if someone's singing at 200 hertz, which is a pitch of G3, in like MIDI notation. Okay, I'm sorry I'm getting a bit technical here, but come on, the main thing is we're working on it, and this is what I'm looking at the moment. This means that there is a minimum latency before it even gets into our algorithms of 10 milliseconds. And that's in perfect laboratory conditions with if you could sing a perfect wave. So we're dealing with some really difficult physical constraints to try and get this to get the latency down, but we've got some really good ideas for the future. I want to implement some advanced machine learning systems to try and predict what people are singing with just a little bit of the waveform. These are the kind of ideas that we have to try and speed up that pitch. So that's a real focus for us in the next few months. I'm working on this problem at the moment.
I mean, that's sort of part of, I think that's basically answered number two. We had a question, from Darren, who said similar thing. He was struggling about rhythm capture and latency adjustment. So synth latency is something that like Stephen just said, we're working on, and that's sort of roughly what we're...
Yeah, so there's that side of it, the latency, and then there's another side of it, which is actually the accuracy. And because we're a real-time system, in a sense, you're singing, and the computer, the algorithms that are running behind it don't have very much time at all to make a decision. So what we've done is we've just kind of like very accurately picked up what it can, what it picks up, and then put that out as a MIDI note. So some of the work that we're going to be putting out into the next few months will be, again, more machine learning, more AI to try and predict what the human intended. Now, actually, I'm not going to dive into it too much, but...
you reveal our secrets stream.
It's not so much our secrets, it's just trying to describe how difficult the problem is. Yeah. Because when you're singing, actually the frequencies that are coming out your mouth, when that enters your ear, your brain translates it and cleans it up and perceives it differently to say how an algorithm sees it. An algorithm sees all the information, but your brain does all this amazing stuff to clean it up. And so we need to basically behave more like the human brain in terms of the way that we receive that sound. And that, as you can imagine, is a difficult problem. And again, working on that. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah. We had a question from Hot Rock Superjoin, who says, when is this system going to be available for iPad?
Yo.
Yeah. So so we've got some plans over the year for different systems and what we're working on, where we can go with Doubler. I'm sure you guys know at the moment our focus is on getting it at its point on desktop as good as it can be. So that's number one priority. And then once we've reached that point where maybe we've grown a bit and we've got a bit more like solid foundation with where we are on desktop, then we might start looking at things like iPad and other iOSs and like basically other operating systems. So it's something we have thought about for sure, but it's going to be in the future once we've nailed down desktop doubler.
After these questions and the demos that Liam's going to put on, I'm going to go through a quick list of our dream plans for 2020. And now that should involve those as well.
We also had another question from Dale, who is basically, they were saying that he's really interested in doubler in live performances. He says, I've already played with it and it's awesome, but I'd like to look at live show integration, so maybe like wireless mic and computer non-dependence, like a hardware version. Again, I guess that ties in what we just said, these are all ideas that are like really exciting. We want to look at them. Another thing is that if you do have any of these ideas, please share them with us. You can post them on our forum. We've got like a features proposal sign up bit where you can put in, or you can just message us on our socials and stuff. But David's going to go through later, like you said, some dream situations.
But actually, just to jump in quickly on that, wireless mic is definitely something we've been discussing in the office. Mm-hmm. It'd be really interesting to see what the latency would be like with a really good radio mic. That's something that we'd like to get hold of one of those and play with it and see what we can do with that. So that is, roughly in the future. But cool.
Right, that's most of the technical stuff. Should we go on to some demos and you guys can hear some... Oh, sorry, I hit the table. You guys can hear some stuff. So first on, we had a question from Mikey Wolf, who says, does or will the Vochlea platform allow for the performer's voice to shape a synth? For instance, if you were to sing out a note while opening or closing your mouth, might that be translated into a similar effect in the recording as an opening, closing filter on the synth? So I think what Mikey's talking about here, what we do have, let me just swap screens so you can see my laptop screen. So what he's talking about here is what we've implemented with, up here, you can see this like our control dials. And these basically take in vowel sounds like R, E, U, and then there's another dial for envelope. And so you can use these to, like you say, shape a synth with your voice. And that also ties in with, say, like your mouth sound, your mouth shape as well. So I've got a little synth in Ableton. Let me just make this a little bit smaller. So in Ableton, I've got a synth here. And if I go into mapping mode, you'll see that I've mapped this filter cutoff on the synth to this R vowel here, which is CC20. So I've set the min and max range. Basically, you'll hear that as I use that synth, if I'm singing with like an E vowel, the filter cutoff will stay low. And then as I open up into an R, because I've mapped it, you'll see the filter cutoff go up at the same time as the R dial. So if I just give you like a, is it armed? No. Can you hear that? We can hear anything. That's strange. Hold on a second. I'm not sure if you can hear that synth. We cannot hear it. That's weird. Just give me a second. Let me see if it's
If you can hear the synths, guys, let us know on chat.
yeah, if you can, I mean, it's coming through on there, but for some reason we're not hearing it in the office, which should be coming out of these monitors. This is some classic live stream stuff.
Sorry about the technical difficulties, guys.
It
They
says
can
we
hear
can
it.
hear it, but we can't. It's going
We
through
could just
the
pretend that we can and just play along with it. Just check the output in Ableton quickly.
Yeah.
And just try and change it and then change it back again. Nothing.
No, it's that must be the speakers that.
I'm also going to unplug the Scarlett and plug it back in again.
Yeah, just check that doesn't change the multi-output.
We're still with you guys. We'll be back in a second. Getting this right. Yeah, I think it's something. It was either the Scarlett or the speakers.
Right.
Cool. We're back with you.
Yeah, off and on again. It always works. Right. So yeah, sorry. If I'm singing on this synth with an E sound, then it will basically keep the cutoff low. And then as I open up my mouth and use like an R vowel sound, you'll see the cutoff down here go up with the control dial here. Just checking your CC. So yeah, so that's basically a brief example of how you can use your voice and your mouth to like shape a synth as you're singing it. So that's
that shaped sound that Liam just sang out there and affected the synths. That's recorded as an automation, so you can then record that and apply that in your tracks.
Yeah, that will. Yeah, so it's basically this. It just works as a CC dial. So it's exactly the same as if you were like turning a knob, but you're basically doing that with your voice and with a vowel. So yeah, that's just an example of how that works. Yes, we did turn it up another again. Right, next one we had from Xander, who says, is it possible to create melodies and drums with your voice at the same time? For example, I like to hum a melody while my teeth form the drum section, brackets, yeah, I know. So, so yeah, this is, I'll pass this over to David, because this is David's speciality, is beatboxing and singing melodies at the same time. But yeah, you definitely can do.
Do you want to
what we've got,
up for me?
so what we've got is we've got a drum channel here, we've got a bass line, and we've got like a string section which layers on top of that bass. And you can use all those at the same time. You'll see here we've got MIDI from W channel 1, so that's the pitch side for these two, and then channel 10 for the drums. So they're all separated.
So pitched ones be
Let me turn down the octave for your bass.
Thanks. I like the low sounds. So there you go. It's picking up the pitch. And then hopefully my drum, is it the right drums kit for me? Or
oh yeah, let me switch to Davin's profile.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. So, and then my drums. but it can both these systems on the left hand side and the right hand side are running at the same time, so I can go yeah, so someone who's a really talented beatboxer can absolutely smash that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I mean, so for Zona specifically, you said, you know, like to hum a melody and use your teeth for drums. I mean, teeth is a weird one because there's not particularly loud sound, but I guess if you experimented with some high sensitivity and getting it really close to your...
my hi-hats are teethy, because I'm basically pushing my tongue against my teeth. Yeah, I mean, like, experiment with it. You can definitely do everything at the same time. I've kind of modified the way that I make certain sounds so it's easier to do both at the same time. But yeah, technically, absolutely possible.
Yeah. And then we had another question from Rick Gordon, who says he doesn't want to be limited to using quantized pentatonic or diatonic scales for pitch entry, and he prefers to use even, say, like slurs and glissandos. He says, what settings will offer the best tracking without all kinds of unwanted notes? He also says it seems like the trombone video here may offer some answers. I think in that video he's referring to the video that was done by, I think by Mr. Blair even, who might be in the chat with us now, who basically did the trombone and then, so it seems like something quite complicated and you're getting those like sounds through. Sorry, I'm going through all these. And you're getting lots of sounds through, but we can understand that if you're doing, say, slurs and glissandos and you're doing quite fast-paced melodies, you might get all those weird odd notes that go in between. They like activate and you get an attack on them and you hear them each time. So you get like a da 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 da, and you get all these weird notes which sound bad. So if you want to use like slurs and glissandos, I think basically what we might talk about now is pitch bend, which is something we've touched on a bit, but is something that we hasn't really gone too in depth on a lot of our demos and stuff. So I'll just go back to my profile here. So if I change my scale to just chromatic, so here when you're using chromatic, this is where you start to hear all these like odd notes in between. You know, if you glide between like a da, then in between there's all those notes it's going to pick up, and you'll get like a da 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 every time you go between them. So you could use something like pitch bend to be able to, it will just follow your voice accurately and basically perfectly, and then won't hit those notes unless it's on the range that you've set. So I've got a synth here. It's just a sine wave. It's just a pure sine wave, so hopefully you can really hear what's going on. And on this like sine wave, you see on the pitch bend range down here, I've got it set to 5. And then the same on the doubler, I've got the pitch bend range set to plus or minus 5 steps. What this means is that if I bend up from a note that I've hit initially, it won't actually change to the next note until I'm, say, 5 steps above. So I can still play individual notes. Let me just do this. So in the chromatic scale, I can still go do 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 do. Is that octave thing? Do 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 do. And you'll hear, so that's just hitting every note with the attack. But if I then start to bend and use slurs or glissandos between them, I can go like do 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 do. Do, 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 do. I mean, that's chromatic, and my voice isn't particularly, I'm not very pitch perfect with my my voice, but so you can hear, you can just go between notes quite quickly with do, 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 do. And then you can also glide and slur between them. Do, 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 do. And so that's just a way that you can sort of like accurately track your voice and use that to be able to introduce more of these weirder, slightly like slurry, glidey type things that you might want to do.
Can we actually experiment with one extra thing?
Yeah,
whilst you've got this set up. If you go back to your synth, could you put it?
Yeah, sorry. I mean, just going to. So someone just basically he mentioned Mr. Blair's video, and he says on that he used pitch bend to 12 on everything in the trombone video. Right. So basically, yeah, that's that thing of where that's the full octave there, and so no matter what you're playing, it will bend with it, and you basically get a match for match perfect sort of like pitch thing with your synth.
That was basically exactly what I wanted to try.
Oh, okay. We'll show you that.
Yeah, because I saw someone doing that the other day, and it's really cool because you've just got that. your voice is just being constantly tracked by the pitch, so you've got that glissando going all the time. It's really nice.
Yeah, so that's just like no matter what I'll do, it will just follow it. So I've just got that on the sine wave, but if you put that on, say, like a violin and stuff, it's when you can start to hear those glides in between notes, and you can pitch bend is one of those things we haven't seen too much from, like, in terms of video content, well, apart from the trombone and stuff. So it's definitely something to experiment with.
Definitely experiment with it.
Pitch is one of those things that has come up a lot over the last few weeks, and I think it's one of those things where it does show about if you dive in depth and you experiment with, say, pitch bend ranges on certain things, and also, do you want to
put the camera?
We
go back to the camera now.
Yeah. Let's go back to the camera so you can see.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where, if you go in depth with these little bits and find a pitch bend range that suits and finds these settings, because I can totally understand if you've got, say, like a piano setting, a piano plugin, and you go do 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 do, you're going to hear loads of horrible notes that sound really off pitch, and you get like an attack and a dun 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 on each one. So these little things you can like tweak, and although we're not expecting everyone to understand how to do that immediately, so if you're having a bit of it, or like you want to know, but you can get in touch with us. We can jump in a video call and we can find those settings between us and find out how to work these, like, for what you want to do. But so Mr. Bay said, I love when the sounds jump octave sometimes. So the same thing happened with your synth, like the high part. So that's basically because you've got it on like a plus or minus 12. It's on if you go an octave below that note you initially go in on, when you hit that note an octave up, it plays that note again as if it's like you've hit the key, for example, which is how pitch bend works. If you want to set it something higher, say like, I think ours go up to like...
So I think he's actually asking about what is called the octave problem, and that is it's a known problem with pitch detectors, and I didn't mention it in too much detail earlier because I didn't want to drag it down with too much technical detail. But Mr. Blair, it's a problem that we're working on at the moment. It's a known problem with pitch detection. So it's a tricky one to fix, but that's
it could be that. Yeah. We had a question from Conclave TV about his order. So he says you've ordered one, but the thing is that shipping address at my studying city where he gets back on February 10th. If it gets shipped before the 10th, do you know what I should do then, or it's better to contact my local post office? This is a question probably for Kelly, who does the shippings. We'll bring Kelly over. So he's just saying about how he's got an order and it's due in February, and the shipping address is currently at his studying city, but he goes back to on the 10th, and if it gets shipped before the 10th, what he should do.
Okay, I think it's May. There's a chance it might get shipped before then, but I would say just email me at kelly@vochlea.co.uk with an address where you know someone will be able to accept it. So whether that's a friend or somewhere where you just know you're going to get it, just to avoid any issues, because we have had a few similar circumstances where kits have then come and they've been sent back to the warehouse and we've had to send them out again, or it's just frustrating for you. So just let me know exactly where someone will be able to accept it. And there might also be some solutions in your city, like a PO box system or something like that, which a few people have used too. But where you know somewhere is going to be, just let us know that address. Work address, friend's address, anything is fine, but nothing is more frustrating than having to wait 3 weeks while it comes back to the UK and then get sent back out, etc. So ask a friend.
So we've got a question also from New Original. Says, have you found that the software works better on Mac than with PC? So this is quite that we could talk about this for quite a long time, I feel. But
I mean we can give it a quick answer.
Yeah.
I mean there are certain reasons why it does work slightly better on the Mac. I'm not going to mince words. The reasons for that is just the way that the Mac's software, like the operating system, deals with audio. It's really good at sending out MIDI quickly. It's got virtual MIDI built in. It's really optimized. Apple have done a great job in terms of audio stuff. Unfortunately, on Windows, that doesn't really exist. So what we've done is we've written an ASIO driver, custom ASIO driver specifically for Windows. We didn't have to do that for Mac. And that was to try and get the latency down there and the performance out of the microphone. We had to bundle a virtual MIDI driver, and just the different bits that we've had to kind of plug together to get it working on Windows just means that it's not as easy to develop it on Windows. So that's one of the things. But we are putting as much development effort. I would actually say that it's not that we've neglected Windows at all. We've probably put more effort into the Windows side of things than we have on the Mac in terms of developer hours. It's more difficult. And we are consistently and constantly putting more into the Windows side of things to keep it up and performing just as well.
Yeah. He also asked, are you any closer to the decision to release it for iOS devices? So we spoke about this a bit briefly. I'm not sure if you were in the stream earlier, but so the thing like iOS devices or other devices that we have thought about it for sure. We don't want to put too much development. Oh yes,
yeah.
We've got some things to talk about.
I think this could be a good time to jump into
segue.
The plans. Yeah, segue, exactly. Segue straight into 2020 plans.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been asking for iOS device support, and it's actually on my list. So it's on all our lists, and we'd love to do it. But I'm going to say that our priority. I'm going to go through this list now. Our priority for 2020 is improving the pitch system. We've had a lot of feedback from people who want that improved, and we want to make sure that people are having a great experience with what they've already bought, and we're going to be really focusing on that. And that's going to take some time to improve. It's as I was telling you earlier, it's complicated and difficult. I'm going to have to start off by building tuning frameworks, machine learning frameworks, just bootstrapping that system before even training it. So it's a lot of work.
We are a tiny team as well, so we could have thousands of people working on all these different things, but we don't. So this is why we're prioritizing these different bits. So pitch is number one for us right now.
Yeah, and we're planning to expand the development team. At the moment, it's myself
and yourself,
myself, and we did have Cam, our machine learning expert, but he's he's in 2020 he's decided to go and live in a field, record an album, do some cool stuff, and he'll be working with us on a kind of ad hoc basis still. So he's still with us, but we're looking to grow the team on the technical side. So that will be exciting. The other thing that we're planning to do is to move towards a software only version. Now we've been talking about, when I say software only version, something that doesn't necessarily need the mic. So just in case someone wants to use a different microphone or whatever. Now it's always going to work best with the Doppler microphone because it's easiest for us to tune it for that. But with some of these pitch issues that we've found, some of the problems specifically on Windows are to do with, say, gain. So if we build some algorithms that are able to cope well with differences in microphone behavior, I think it's just going to make the whole pitch performance better. So it's kind of two birds with one stone. So that's there. Something else that we want to do that would be really cool is like a new beatbox training system.
These are the things that we've had ideas about. It's we'll see where we go with them. But the beatboxing idea is just a thought that we had about sort of new and interesting ways or easier ways that you can teach sounds and have them just get instantly into doing drums with your voice.
Basically we want to make it really intuitive. We want it to be you pick it up, you don't need to watch a video, it's so obvious, and then it just works perfectly. So that's something that we've got there.
We just spoke about pitch, so we'll just go back to that because of this question. So Photon Boy says, where does the stuck note issue stand? Thanks.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so that's something that I've been working on. I was working on it Friday and Monday. So to just elaborate on what that problem is, that is a Windows specific problem where MIDI notes sometimes hang. Now, I spent some time looking at it, and what I found was this happens when the note switches really, really quickly. And just because of the way that Windows MIDI sending works, it's kind of, it struggles when you send stuff really quickly. Like, that's the long and short of it. So it sometimes, even though the note off has been sent afterwards, within like half a millisecond after the note on, the synth receives the note off just slightly before it. It's a really annoying problem. And having investigated it, I think that the best way to go about it is to actually just fix the pitch. So I'm going to be introducing pitch fixes. For instance, the octave pitch, the octave problem, where it jumps from, you're singing and then it drops down really quickly and then jumps up again. If that problem's eliminated, then you're not going to have this kind of stuck note thing. So this is the approach that I'm trying to take at the moment. So yeah, just to let you know, that's where it stands at the moment, and it's being worked on. Yeah.
2020. I mean, there's a few other things. I guess we can just we can quickly go through a few of these.
Oh yeah.
So cloud profile saving.
Yeah.
So that's basically how at the moment your profiles that you have are saved on the machine that you're working on. But obviously we allow for Doubler to be on as many machines as you like, because we understand you might be working on different things. So there's the idea that we can start having profiles saved to like a cloud, and that's one of those things that belongs to sort of you as a user rather than a machine. So basically that's just one of those things where now you would be able to hopefully in the future switch between and just quickly be able to put in whatever profile that you've used before and not have to say like retrain. What could also be cool as well in those things is that, say someone's got like a project and someone's like, oh, that was cool, how did that work? Like we were talking about before about pitch bend range and stuff, how you were saying how you had your pitch bend sorted. You might be able, as an idea, you could be able to like send them a profile, or you could upload it somewhere and they could like put
That's a really good point. So one of the things that, I'm going to preempt you here, one of the things that Liam's planning to work on soon is to make some Ableton live light sets and for other DAWs as well, and make some videos, so kind of like shows you these cool sets that he's made, and then you're able to like download it, load it into your DAW, and then kind of follow through and sort of see how it's been done and maximize your sort of experience with Doubler and that DAW. So yeah, if we could have those profiles being shared as well, and you could get the profile and you could get the set, and you could just have this kind of like all encapsulated thing. That would be pretty cool.
It's one of those things. I mean, I guess it's mostly aimed at sort of users who are maybe are slightly newer in the sort of world of like audio production DAWs. But I think it might also be could be fun and useful for other users just to get new ideas. I mean, I have been getting ideas off you guys for ages, seeing how all your different uses. And it's one of those things where there's so many things you don't think of. So if we had a place where we could all share these different ideas and the actual projects that they're used in, then it's just quite an inspiring way to like. I've been learning off you guys for ages, so if I can start putting them into projects, that'd be great to share back with the community, basically.
Yeah, we'll get a repository of sets and stuff. That would be really cool. Okay, so yeah, just two more things on the plans list, and that's if we can get there, because we need more hands on deck and stuff. And it takes time to hire the right people. But the next two things that are on the list are offline validation. So at the moment, we have a system where you log in and then it kind of validates your machine for a week, and then you need to log in again. There are some people that have studio setups, or they live in the middle of nowhere, or what have you, and they just don't have internet access to their studio machine, but they might have a mobile phone. So what I want to do is build a system where you can do the validation on your mobile. Like you'll click a button on your mobile, it'll be like, okay, validated, and it will give you a little code that you type into Doubler, and then that will validate it for a week or a month or something like that for people who are kind of, struggle with that side of things. And then finally, metal support. Now this metal is, just to explain what that is a kind of, it's a graphics library for Mac. This year, Apple are getting rid of the old standard, which was OpenGL. And what we've found, we support OpenGL, and that's what most things do. What we've found is on like older laptops or laptops without graphics processing units, like it can use quite a lot of CPU, and we want you to have all the CPU for your DAW, producing the synthesis and the drums and everything like that. So I'm going to put some work in there, and hopefully see a big drop in CPU usage on these kind of like older laptops and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, this has been quite a technical thing. It's been our first one of the year.
Yeah.
So I guess we're just laying out, what our plans is. For the next few weeks, we've got, so Kelly and George are going to be away at NAMM, so keep an eye out on those things. You'll see some videos and stuff pop up from there. I'm going to be working on these live sets and getting some videos up for you guys. Davin's going to be working hard at basically all these things that we've spoken about. Yeah. So that's what we're up to. The next AMA, if these live sets go well, I've been talking about it for ages, but it would be great to do like a demo-based AMA where we sort of sit in a DAW like Ableton on a stream and we just go through some stuff. Sort of like how I'm planning on doing these videos, but if we can just talk through bits and bobs, that would basically be quite fun. So maybe in the next one we can all sit together and just sort of like play around within just making music basically for a bit of time and see where we go with it. But yeah, that's mostly it for today. Thanks guys for joining us. Again, as usual, if you have any questions, if you have any demos you want to see, if there's any videos, if you've got any comments in general, whatever it is, if you want to chat to us, you can post it on our socials, message us, email us. Our forums are there as well. I don't know if you guys all know about them. It's forum.vochlea.co.uk. We've got little categories. You can join, you make a profile.
Say hello.
Say hello. We just want to hear from as many of you as possible. So do join us on those things. And we'll see you next time for the next AMA in between. But thanks for joining us.
Cool. Yeah, Happy New Year, and
All right. Cheers,
care.
guys.